Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, the U of A falls at the Coliseum in Los Angeles to the Trojans, 41-34. USC gets the victory, the 20th consecutive loss for Arizona football. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. And Glenn, I said Saturday night that my top takeaway was the fact that there was improvement. There were steps forward by this offense in Los Angeles. Again, there are no moral victories in losing football games, but what we want to see is progress, and I thought we saw progress in Los Angeles on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think we did too, Dave. I think Will Plummer took a step forward. He seemed to be more comfortable in the pocket, and he was climbing the pocket, which I've never seen him do before, where he usually just gets out of there. And seeing the field a little bit better and throwing strikes down the field. And I think who also got good was our play caller. Our play caller, I thought, got better because I loved the way they were throwing it to the tight end, making sure, because those linebackers, you could see in the film during the game that these linebackers are just coming. They knew they were going to try to run the ball. We ran the ball a little bit, and then we were throwing the ball behind them. The tight end was getting the ball, and then we were getting to other receivers. And we got creative, and I really liked the way that the play calling was. This is the first game I really liked the play calling, and they did a great job.
Yeah, I think that was maybe, if there was one disappointment, it was that they didn't maybe run the ball to the access that we thought and had hoped that we had talked about that they would in our preview Arizona football today on Friday. Those numbers really weren't up there to maybe really kind of be in that position where you could have a chance to tie the ball game late. But like you said, I mean, not only did they throw the ball to Alex Lyons on 4 occasions, but a couple of those were those seam routes we've been talking about, like you mentioned, over the middle, which was important to see. And I thought we got the Will Plummer, or we're starting to see in that second half, the Will Plummer that we believed that we might see, and that was a Will Plummer that was in control of the offense. And like you said, I love the way he would drop back, set, right up, pick that receiver, and fire the ball away. That was the thing. To me, that was growth in what we saw in this offense on Saturday night. But Glenn, man, this is a cruel game that this football thing is. We love it. We watch it every weekend. We adore it, but it's a cruel game when you talk about Jamari Joyner, who battled injuries all spring and leading into fall camp, finally got on the right foot, was starting to contribute to this offense, and now he's going to be out indefinitely. I saw Jamari on campus on Sunday. He was wearing a full brace. Doesn't look like that's anything he's going to be able to play with this coming Saturday against California. So we'll have to wait and see exactly how long an injury that's going to be. And then you talk about Drake London. And I had said a few weeks ago, I was fine if Drake London didn't play again at USC. He almost got knocked out at Washington State in terms of he was out on the field. And this kid has too much to lose. He's a first-round pick. He doesn't need to play another college game. And it just broke my heart to see what happened to him in that end zone after that second touchdown.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, you love the game, but the game can treat you pretty hard too. You know, Drake, I don't think he should play another down in college football. I think he should hang him up and get ready for the next level. I think, you know, with Jamari, it's unfortunate that what happened to Jamari, but that's a game of football. There's the next guy up. You know, Mo Diallo, it's the same thing, that he got hurt too. We could use him back. I don't know what his degree of injury is and what's going on with him, but we have to understand that the game of football, there's going to be people that are going to get hurt. So if I'm a second, third team guy, you know, if I'm a third or fourth team guy, I'm on Arizona, I better be ready to play and take advantage of the situation that you have an opportunity to play.
Glenn, great to see the downfield shots that they took in this ballgame. That was one of the things that we had discussed on Friday, that they needed to kind of try to open this thing up. They did so early, obviously, in the ballgame with the touchdown pass from Jamari Joyner to Tavion Cunningham, using that speed. Man, he had 2 big catches in that ballgame. Nice to see Tavion back, and then the introduction to Dorian Singer, who was a kid that they had talked up during training camp. I mean, I never really saw anything out of him in the practices I was at, but they kept talking about what a bright, young receiver that he was, and we finally got to see that in this ball game.
Yeah, and just think of this. We hit them deep a couple times, even though we missed on a couple times. The safeties, we got those crossing patterns. That's what Tavion got, that crossing pattern. Getting that ball and getting them open. We get those things when we go deep. We have to be able to take some shots down the field. That's the first time we've ever taken that many shots down the field. I think that's a great thing for us. Then it opens up for the tight end. Then it opens up for Stan Berryhill. Then it opens up for all the other guys, Castillo, all the guys. So I think we got to look at that, and really I hope the coaches really look at this and say, hey, this is what makes us successful, and get Will in those situations, and we can be successful and pull out maybe a game or two out of these next couple of games.
One of the things, though, Glenn, that has become an issue in the last couple of weeks is drops. We had two late in the ball game by B.J. Castile against the Washington Huskies on that final drive. He had another one in this ball game that led to a turnover, and then Dorian Singer actually, and he too had a drop late in the ball game. I mean, and that's one of these things, man. You're utilizing a lot of receivers now, some young, some older. You got to be able to hold on to the football.
Catch the football when it's thrown to you. I think that's the biggest thing. And I know how it feels. My very first pass to me was on the ground. I dropped it. And you know what? I was fortunate that Larry Smith came right back to me, and I never dropped another one. I only got 13 in my whole career, but I never dropped another one. So that is something that you got to be able to catch the ball when you have that opportunity. And the other thing that was killing us is that the penalties. Dave, we still have the penalties. We had 12 penalties. We cannot win a football game with that many penalties.
Well, and then you look at the way I analyzed a lot of the penalties. There were a few more pass interference penalties than we had. I thought that was just kind of a byproduct of the fact that, one, USC throws the ball more than a lot of the teams we had played to this point, and our defensive backs just hadn't seen that duration of passes in a ball game to where they had to defend. So you got, Rutherford I believe had a couple of pass interferences. You get into these games where you start to see teams that are going to throw the football. You're going to have to be a little bit more on your P's and Q's in terms of your hand technique from the defensive back side of the field. Obviously, the one by Rashi Hodge, that is unacceptable. Yeah. You just cannot do that. And to me, one of the reasons why the Wildcats were in the game in the second half was because they were dynamite on third downs. They were able to get off the field on those third downs. You just can't make that mistake if you're Rashi Hodge.
You can't. I like the way that we were a little chippy, okay? We were like shoving guys. We were like playing physical football. I like that. I got excited. Before the game, they got a little bit in a scuffle, before they came out on the field. They had a little scuffle on the field. So I like that. That's what we have to do, but we have to be under control when we're in the crucial part of the game. Those are unnecessary penalties, and those would kill us, and that one killed us.
I thought the blocking for the most part was up and down. I thought it was better, I guess is the way that I would categorize it. Obviously, they couldn't run the football, to the dearth that we wanted them to. Pass blocking, they gave up 5 sacks. And we talk about, one of the things we always talk about is, when's this guy going to get on the field? When are we going to see this guy? And one of those guys for me has been Zach Williams, man. Ever since that guy walked through the door and I first saw him, I was like, man, we got a big tight end. This kid looks like he is going to be the tight end that we've been looking for at this university for a long time. He just hasn't been able to get on the field, and you ask yourself, well, why not? Well, you saw him give up a sack in this ball game where he just got beat off the edge. I believe it might have been by Drake Jackson, and then it goes back to what we talked about last week, why some of these running backs can't get on the field. You can't protect the quarterback. That's largely a reason why you're not playing.
Yeah, and as a tight end, it's block first, catch second. That's what you get. You get rewarded with catching while you block. And I tell you, the only reason why I got on the field is because I could block. I could catch. Later they found out I could catch the ball. I got 13 balls. That's not that many, but at least they understood. They rewarded me by blocking first. You have to be able to protect the quarterback, especially when you're on the edge. And those are crucial times when you got to be down with your blocking.
Glenn, I don't think I know what holding is anymore because there were a couple plays in that ball game. I mean, the play here on Jalen Harris. I mean, that I don't know if you can have any more blatant holding than that. And
his rep was right there.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't get called. And unfortunately, this is what happens when you're a losing ball club. You just don't get those calls. There were several that I thought were kind of, they called it immediately. Well, I remember one on Jordan Morgan, which they called right away. It's like, you're going to call that, but you're not going to call the one where the guy's basically pulling Jalen Harris down by the neck.
That's just the way it is right now, Dave. I think that University of Arizona's got to take their lumps. And then if we get better, we don't put ourselves in those situations, okay? And a lot of those times when you get those situations, because you put yourself in those situations. We could, maybe on a couple of downs before we don't get in that situation, because we're playing such sound football. Sound football teams don't get in those situations, and we're just not there yet. We're close, but we're not there yet.
Christian Young, 15 tackles in this ball game. Thought he played well. Anthony Pandy had a couple of big plays, obviously with the pick six, and also had a tackle for loss in this ball game.
Christian Young shut down another tight end. I don't care if they list him as a wide receiver. He's a tight end.
Yeah, which I thought was interesting because as soon as Drake London went out, they just kind of went to their run game in the second half. I mean, that was basically what they were doing. That entire second half is they were just, look, we're just going to grind this game out. They had 3 touchdown lead. They figured, let's just run the football and see if we can grind this game out, which they were able to do. But, I mean, when you talk about the fact that Jackson Turner ejected for a second time for targeting, and, we can have the targeting debate all day long. Fact of the matter is it is what it is. Do you think there's a technique teaching issue there with Jackson Turner? Because now that's twice he's been ejected.
You just can't. You gotta get your head to the side, man. That's just simple thing. Yeah, he's probably used to so many times getting away with a little bit of using his crown. You got to come to the side, man. That's what you have to do. You got to go to the side. All the guys, they do it in the NFL. That's what you have to do. You cannot get that penalty.
Thought this was another really good game as we kind of always touch on special teams. Glenn, Tyler Loop kicked 2 field goals. Haversack obviously missed the 51-yard field goal in this ballgame. It's a lot more difficult to kick a 50-yard field goal at sea level with a marine layer, as a broadcast friend of mine said, versus kicking from 50 yards in the desert. Pulled that a little bit left. You had a fake punt, which was successful with Anthony Pandy. That, again, they took a lot of chances in this game. We saw a double pass, which, I'd probably rather not see stuff like that. But what I liked about that particular play was I thought Jamari kind of stayed, didn't really throw, didn't rush the throw there. He kind of let Stanley come open a little bit more over the middle and then hit him. I just like the way that he worked on that play right there.
It looked like on that play that they practiced that play, and they knew exactly what to do if trouble came, okay? Because other times when you see plays that are just like they're just rolling and then they're just going to throw it no matter what, he was calm, collective, and he waited. He waited, and then I don't think if Stan would have came out, he would have thrown the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, exactly. All right, it's the Wildcats coming up against the California Golden Bears this coming Saturday. Glenn, we're going to have daytime football here in Tucson for the first time this season.
My brother's coming in.
A noon start. That's right, your brother is a Cal Bear. It's going to be a noon kickoff for homecoming on Saturday. Any final thoughts on this USC game before we get out of here?
Well, I just say that, our guys fought hard. You played in the LA Coliseum and you gave them a good fight, man. And I'm proud of those guys, and I'm proud of the coaching staff. They came in with a good game plan. They executed it, and I love the play selection on that side. The defense is still, doing a good job, but they got to just, we got to get the offense has got to be our defense. We got to stay on the field longer. We got to be able to run the ball. We run the ball better on that game. We might have came out with the victory.
Yeah, well, I believe it was 32 carries. 30. I'd said minimum 40. And it was really, I think it was interesting, and we'll touch on this before we go. That last red zone situation where they threw the 3 incompletes. Did you think they should have tried to run the ball on that situation? Obviously, if he missed the throw to Dorian Singer there on the edge, which, he hits him there, and you're inside the 3-yard line. Yeah, and then you had an unguarded blitzer on the second down play that kind of messed up that play, and then the third down was the basic bubble screen they've been trying to run all season, which never seems to work. So I didn't necessarily have an issue with them throwing the ball 3 times there in that situation.
Well, me being a Sunday OC, I'm famous for that, but I'd like to see him get in the eye again, and let's just try to run it down their throats. Let's say, hey guys, we haven't done this. Let's do it. Let's try it. I mean, get the big fullback back there and let's run it. Let's try to run it down the throats. Get Stevie back there and Jalen John, and let's see if we can do that. We didn't do that, and that pass that we had to the Singer, that was the easy. He just had to set his feet and make the good throw. We just do it, and he'll get better at that. He will get better at that.
I believe that Will Plummer said after the ball game, that's a throw I should hit 9 out of 10 times. No, 10 out of 10 times.
Yep.
He'll have another chance, hopefully, coming up here on Saturday against Cal to make a play like that in the red zone. It's the Wildcats and the Golden Bears. I believe it's the 106th homecoming at the University of Arizona, and we'll be back to preview that game for you early Saturday morning.